I've got a couple of big stories I want to get to, and something really fishy is going on with the central banks and why they're hoarding gold. They know what's coming. They're watching what China and Russia are doing, and they're getting scared. We'll have more on that in a second. But first, the president of the World Economic Forum, his name is Borja Brendi. Borja? Anyway, he is sounding the alarm about his Western economies facing total disaster in the next few months. Watch this guy. Watch Borja. Here's what he had to say.
Talk to me a little bit more broadly about the economy globally right now, because there are a lot of strains. Obviously, we've got an energy crisis, which we are talking about here. But beyond that, inflation, recession, and frankly, worries about China reopening.
You're so right. If you ask me, where's really the global economy? I think I would say worse than last year, but better than next year, unfortunately. We are probably going to see a recession by next year. We're seeing major economies contracting. Germany, I guess, will contract in the fourth quarter this year. It's the fourth largest economy in the world. United Kingdom, sixth largest economy in the world, is already contracting.
Thanks, Borja. Also, you're basically admitting that your shitbird policies that are killing so many people and driving us away from precious metals towards a digital currency, closing down people's farms and ruining their way of life, keeping people in lockdowns, moving us away from fossil fuels towards solar and wind. You're admitting that these economies are contracting because you caused it, Borja. People can't afford to heat their homes, and you caused this. To some people in the United States who might be watching this right now and say, nah, there's no energy crisis, I'm fine. It's a little bit pricier, but I'm fine. That's because you live in a bubble. For Europe, it's a total disaster. This viewer on my YouTube channel a few minutes ago left me this comment, and this person said, I'm living in Germany and I'm paying monthly €225 for gas only. It was €89 the month before, and the heaters are not even on yet. The heaters aren't even on yet. And this is just one of the thousands of comments that I get from you guys who all say your political leaders are trying to deindustrialize the Western economies. This morning, France's economic minister says his country has huge concerns about a United States-led deindustrialization of Europe. Are they waking up? Watch this.
Prévenir plutôt que guérir, je pense qu'il est temps que nous, Européens, nous disions très clairement à nos amis américains, nous avons, sur ce sujet de l'IRA, Inflation Reduction Act, et sur le risque de désindustrialisation en Europe, une préoccupation majeure qui doit être réglée dans les meilleurs délais. Et nous, Européens, nous préférons trouver des solutions de compromis avec les États-Unis, mais si les solutions de compromis ne sont pas possibles, dans ce cas-là, nous saurons faire preuve de la même fermeté.
So he says if the U.S. doesn't want to compromise, we'll have to show the same firmness. We will have to be as strong to protect ourselves. So the deindustrialization is in full swing, and their plan is working to keep you at home, take your vaccines, just shut up and take them, and get your economies off fossil fuels, use digital currencies, do all of your work on Zoom, and with these digital currencies, they can track everything you do. So that's what they want. So who is the WEF scared of? They seem to be winning right now, right? We're all in misery because of them. Well, the president of the WEF admits that China has seen the most growth and is the biggest threat to their plan. Watch.
And we know that China has been a driver of growth. 40% of the global growth that we have seen the last decade has come from China.
Oh, so it's a failure. Your plans have failed, but you're just continuing with them anyway. You guys blew up the Nord Stream pipeline to further your climate agenda while moving away from Russian energy, and your currencies like the euro are massively collapsing. So it's no wonder that Zero Hedge is out this morning with a stunning report that shows that Western central banks are quietly buying up as much gold as they can. I thought this was a stunning report, and I'm not surprised by it. So here is what the report says. Establishment supports central bank gold secrecy instead of exposing it. So this week, the World Gold Council, which is a gold market development organization representing 32 of the world's gold mining companies, published the latest quarterly edition of its well-known Gold Demand Trends research publication. Now, in the latest edition, which is titled Gold Demand Trends Q3 2022, the World Gold Council claims that during Q3 2022, central banks continued to accumulate gold with purchases estimated at a quarterly record of nearly 400 tons of gold. What? Now, according to the WGC, Global central bank purchases leapt to almost 400 tons in Q3. That's a 115% increase. This is the largest single quarter of demand from this gold sector in our records dating back to the year 2000, and almost double the previous record of 241 tons back in Q3 of 2018. Almost double? Something is fishy, though, with these numbers, and this is a major part of this story. Not to go down a rabbit hole here, but the World Gold Council says that 400 tons were bought, but they're only attributing 119 tons of it to the central banks. That means 280 tons of gold is unreported. So which central banks are buying this? Why won't they tell us who they are? And what other institutions are buying it? Who are they protecting? Who's the World Gold Council protecting right now? A lot of questions about the secrecy here. Does the United States want to keep these purchases quiet? We don't know. They won't tell us. So people don't know, is the Fed buying gold? Remember, they're supposed to be anti-gold. So are they buying all this gold? What the hell is going on here? Central Western banks have currencies that are backed by debt. They are not backed by anything. They are backed by the air we breathe, no gold. They are not backed by gold or silver. So what do they need with this record amount of gold? Why are these central banks buying it up? Well, the answer is easy. The world dollar hegemony is ending. The US dollar is coming to an end thanks to what China and Russia are doing. Now, the US dollar will continue, just won't be the world's reserve currency for very much longer. Here's a report from last week at a meeting of major economists. Economists discuss Russia, China potentially developing a gold-backed currency that could undermine the US dollar. And it's not even a potential. They're actually doing this right now. So if you have your family's finances tied to the US dollar, you're warned. You're warned about what's coming, guys. Again, if your dollar is sitting, if your finances are sat in a 401k plan or some sort of a government joined currency retirement account, you are being warned, okay? So this report explains this. Several experts have shared their views on Russia and China potentially creating a new gold-backed currency. Fox Business reported on Saturday, emphasizing that China has been buying up huge quantities of gold, while Russia was forced off the US dollar due to sanctions imposed on the country following its invasion of Ukraine. And that's interesting because here's more in this story. Craig Singleton, senior fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies and a former U.S. diplomat, explained that Chinese leaders have talked about reforming the global financial system and reducing the U.S. dollar's dominance for 2 decades. Two components in that strategy center around the development of a yuan-based global commodities trading system and efforts by China in partnership with Russia and other like-minded countries to challenge dollar dominance by creating a new reserve currency. Yes, one that's backed by gold. In essence, Beijing and Moscow are seeking to build their own sphere of influence and a unit of currency within that sphere of influence. In effect, inoculating themselves from the threat of U.S. sanctions. They are absolutely right about it. The data shows that the Swiss exports of gold to China in July rose to their highest level since December of 2016. According to the Swiss customs data, Switzerland shipped 80 tons of gold worth 4.4 billion Swiss francs to mainland China during that month. This is an astonishing amount of gold that China is buying. What these thugs at the WEF are doing is really consolidating a global central banker's dictatorship to hand the biggest banks and financial institutions control over fiscal policy. It brings us one step closer to the full implementation of the Great Reset, meaning an unelected group of thugs get to spend your money how they see fit. And they create the money out of thin air while China and Russia are shoring up their own currencies with gold, which has, of course, lasted 4,000 years. It's no wonder why they don't like Putin backing his currency by something tangible like gold. It terrifies them, and it terrifies me. And that's why I am so bullish on precious metals. So that is your news update. Now I want to tell you about our sponsor for today's video, NEV Gold. Now you've heard me talk about these guys before. We've partnered with NEV Gold because they are a mineral exploration company that is actively exploring for gold in a number of big projects inside of North America. Now NEV Gold explores for gold in a couple of big areas. In fact, 3 big areas in both the United States and Canada to extract as much gold as they can because we need it. So the demand for gold could be heading for a gold supercycle, according to their research. And what the team at Nev Gold told me is that because U.S. inflation is hitting a 40-year high, the U.S. government continues to print dollars. We are heading towards this gold supercycle with prices that are estimated at $2,500 an ounce for gold. Yes, $2,500 an ounce. And if you read our daily newsletter, you know that we keep the prices of gold and silver right at the top of the newsletter, and they go up by a little bit, down by a little bit. But right now we're watching heading towards $2,500 an ounce. I am ready. So this is very important. This part of the story is important because GROY, now I've told you about GROY, right? They are a gold royalty company. We featured them on the show a few weeks ago. I'm a big believer in what they do. They own over 10% of Nev Gold. So let me just explain that. The gold royalty company, they believe so much in Nev Gold that they've invested over 10%. They bought 10% of Nev Gold. That's huge because they believe this company is one of the strongest gold companies in the Western United States, and that's why they own over 10% of Nev Gold. Now, Nev Gold themselves has 4 to 5 billion of gold value in the ground. That works out to more than 20 times growth potential from today. That means the more they pull it out of the ground, the more they grow, the more valuable they become. Last month, they announced they discovered more oxide gold and expanded their discovery zone by over 100 meters. So Nev Gold has recently put out more exceptional gold results from their gold project in Nevada, which is the best place in the world to find gold. And they are well on their way to delivering that 20x growth potential. So that's why the gold royalty company, GROY, has invested in them. Now, one key point on the United States dollar versus gold. A few months ago, the team at Nev Gold told me that investors were, of course, flocking to the US dollar against these other currencies right now. Anyone could see it. The US dollar was like a safe haven. But that they said it would only be temporary because the US dollar is heading towards a correction or even a collapse. Well, they were right about that. And about 2 weeks ago, we started to see the major signs of that. A major US dollar reversal starting to unfold. And the indicators are there, guys. The real story is gold, and it makes sense. You know, why would you want your family's money in a paper currency that isn't backed by anything and it will be handed over to central bankers who will move towards a digital structure? So gold mining stocks have outperformed physical gold by double digits in the past 2 gold bull markets. So that's why I invest both in gold producers and in precious minerals themselves, both of them, because I get huge upside with the gold producers and I get steady with those precious minerals like gold and silver. Now, they have an advanced gold project in Nevada right now called the Limousine Butte Gold Mine, which is a 10,000 meter gold project. The company is in the midst of a 10,000 meter program, which could yield over 1 million ounces of oxide gold. So our thanks to Nev Gold for sponsoring this video and supporting what we do on this channel. You can actually invest in this company directly if you'd like. Do your own due diligence on this company and see what they've been doing. You can read their most recent news reports. Again, we'll have a link to their website and you can invest with them directly on the stock exchange. Here is their stock ticker. It's NAUFF. As they produce more gold, their stock will continue to rise, and the demand is off the charts right now. Anyway, protect your family's wealth away from these globalist billionaires. Get educated about what's happening in this market. I'll have a link below to their gold report that you should all read right now, and I'll see you next time, everyone.